How to alleviate colitis ulcerosa and Crohn's disease. We're going to talk about digestion. I think this is the secret key that even amongst my profession is not very common for some reason, and it is highly effective. Let's just say if you eat healthy, but you're not digesting it, I've seen many problems. You can probably digest, quote unquote, food a lot better, even unhealthy food, as long as your stomach acid is enough and your pancreatic enzymes and your gall is enough. You won't have that much problems. But vice versa, or both, that is a lot of complaints, especially gut problems. All right, it's a little dry, but before we get into it, let's do something fun. I'm gonna see how well you guys have your digestion right now. Normally I do lab testing. It's not necessary. I know the symptoms as well, but the lab testing does pinpoint and make it a little more accurate what we're doing. And I just see how much are you digesting, how much not, how much fat, stuff like that. How is your gut flora? Very good testing. A lot of places in the world do that. But let's do a little quick test to see how good it is. All right, these are your poops. These are the Bristol stool chart, very common in medicine. We have to have a type 4 stool. That means like a smooth sausage, no cracks in there, no lumps in there, but also not softer than a solid form. It's supposed to be 1 to 3 times a day if you're a man. It's supposed to be a little less if you're a woman, once every day, maybe skip 1 day every 2 days. That's still fine. More than that is really not fine, and less than that isn't fine either. Now, if you have these problems, you probably have type 4, 5, 6, or 7 even. But if you do have constipation, this is also not good. Some people can go to the bathroom once every 5 days. This is very, very unhealthy for your gut and very easily solved. Just give me a little meal and I will give you one tip of a supplement and how to take it, and it's already better. Do something about it, is what I'm saying. You can also go to the doctor, just make sure that it flows. It's for your detoxification, it's for your gut flora to build up, so it needs to go a little bit, but not too much either. So how to get to the type 4 is the digestion and the food, but let's go on. No need to strain, that's very important. It has to be a good quality, also good quantity, yes. 200 grams a day. This is a little difficult to measure. There are toilets actually coming out right now that measure this amount. This is a medical thing. But it's supposed to be 200 grams, and it's about 1 banana, 2 bananas, two average size bananas, about that amount, but not less. Most people have about 80 grams, which is way less. Now, why is this so important? It's not just the rest of your food that comes out. It's also supposed to be the 100 million bacteria that are supposed to be in your gut flora. They also have like a volume, a weight to it. And the worse your gut flora is, the less you will have these healthy bacteria, and the weight will go down for that. So this is why this is a very good marker. All right, a little stench. It's not supposed to smell great, of course, but if somebody else goes in the toilet next to you or after you, and there's going to be like, this is not a good sign. Something is rotting, literally rotting. Proteins probably. The digestion is not going well, or you're just eating too much protein at the same time, combined with the digestion. And you hardly need any toilet paper if everything is correct. Then you have the right amount of fluid in there and fibers in there, and that means that even if you have a type 4 or maybe 5, then you hardly need more than 1 wipe, 2 max, and the second is already like a control wipe. If you have anything else than that, so you can see how critical we are about this. This is a very important thing for everybody's health. Anything else than this is not a good sign. This is a sign that food allergies maybe, the digestion, maybe too much stress, something's going wrong. And I would suggest finding somebody to work on it, even if you don't have problems right now. But let's see about that digestion. A little much to read. I don't like doing that, but you can always pause it. Let's start with the first one. Of course, you got to eat. It's got to be in a quiet situation. You got to chew properly enough. Don't overdo it either, but not like don't breathe that food in there like many men tend to do. It goes into your stomach. Now, the stomach acid is supposed to be between 2 and 3 liters a day. It's incredible the amount you're supposed to produce. Of course, you absorb the fluids out of that again, or else you would be dehydrated in a day. But you produce a lot. It's mostly for protein digestion. So here comes that smelly poop or farts. If you have problems with that, might be too little stomach acid. Because here's the catch, here's the paradox. Many people have acid reflux, heartburns, and you take an antacid to lower your acid, and it helps. Yes, it does. But 9 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10, not always, but 9 out of 10 times, it's not too much stomach acid. It's too little stomach acid. You're producing too little. Let me explain. You're eating something, it goes into your stomach. It's supposed to go like the 2-3 liters, well, in a day, so a little less, but a lot of stomach acid, supposed to lower the pH level to 1.5. That's acidic as, well, the stuff you use as a child to melt concrete. As a joke, don't do it. And it then goes beyond the stomach, like the pylori opens up and the food goes down. And you're like, oh, that sat well with me, great. If it's less, it will stay in there for longer than half an hour. And it will start all these movements, and eventually gas will start forming, and it will push up this little valve, and then the stomach acid will go up, and you can taste it, or the heartburn, or the acid reflux, and then you take the antacid maybe, and then, well, you have less symptoms, but was that the cause? No. You had too little stomach acid. Not always, 9 out of 10 times, it is. So, what causes low stomach acid? Stress, number one. Fast eating, just general stress overall. Tough one. Something you can do something about, but it's not easy. I wish I could give you the quick fix for stress right now. But also allergies. Can even be airway allergies. They mess with your histamine levels, and histamine is unfortunately one of these hormones you also need to produce a proper amount of stomach acid. The omega-3, omega-6 ratio, we already talked about it. These are things commonly known. There's also Helicobacter pylori, that's like a bacteria that can also neutralize your stomach acid, so might be one worth testing. It's not on the sheet here, Helicobacter pylori. These are things that will cause this low stomach acid. And what do you get? Very common for many people, get the bloated belly. In the morning, it's still a little flat, you're fine, and then during the day and evening, you're like, some people, they look pregnant at night. It hurts, like the skin is stretching so much. This is an extreme situation, but there are a lot of people out there. Not just stomach acid, but often it's stomach acid. It's the gas that's building up because things aren't digesting properly. So bad bacteria start eating at half-digested food, and you get this gas forming. And maybe you burp it up, and maybe you fart it out, but maybe not. And then it swells up your stomach. Next day, a little less again, and so on and so forth. And it can cause, in part, inflammatory problems. That's what we're talking about today. Usually diarrhea, sometimes constipation. Next one, the pancreatic enzymes. Between 1.5 and 2.5 liters, still huge amounts. We all know this pancreatic organ produces the insulin for the diabetes. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. But very little is known about the 99% of the surface, the volume of that organ, giving these enzymes to digest your food. Right after your stomach, a large amount comes into your bowels and it immediately starts digesting in milliseconds certain foods, and it should be really fast that all the foods and all the nutrients that we want to absorb are absorbed. Again, problems with this. This is, by the way, one you can test. Look in the middle. We have pancreas elastase. In English, that would be pancreatic elastase, I think. Little problem again. If it's over 200, and watch the unit, is micrograms per gram, 200, they will say, okay, you don't have pancreatic blockage or cancer or stuff like that. Great, of course. But it should be over 500. Over 500 at least, and it's still not a great guarantee. If it's not, pancreas, very common because of stress problems. This is called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, if you want to look it up. Stress, blood sugar problems, and actually all long-term diseases can, not necessary, but can lower your pancreatic enzymes. I've been doing these tests the most in my entire career, and especially stress is a big one, unfortunately. Stress just stops digestion. You know, stress and digestion don't mix. You're supposed to be relaxed when you're eating, or just relax in general when you have your food and everything there. And this is something, again, you can combat even temporary with certain enzymes, supplements to compensate, and then on the long term it will have to recover whatever the cause was. Same thing, inflammation, diarrhea, smelly breath, not always, but is one of the things that's a little more pancreatic related, possibly. Bloated belly, once again. Last one, the gall. Something especially when people are a little bit overweight or female and in their 40s, this is a little more risk, but don't think that if you're not one of these three things or all of these three things that you're fine. Gall can be a problem. Why? Because gall, before you get gallstones, way before you get like a gallstone that's, and you get pain and you need to get that operated on, you get little stones. And before that, you just get really gunky gall that's not fluid enough to go out. This is 700 milliliters a day that you're producing, 700 milliliters, almost a liter. And if it's not fluid, it doesn't come out very well. Fat digestion, very important for fat digestion, for absorbing all the calories and the fats that you actually desperately need. Don't think low calorie is always good. Also all the vitamins that go with all the fats, the omega-3 we just talked about. It's nice to take a supplement, but if you're not digesting it for 50%, it's a little waste of money, right? We have stress again as a cause, hereditary disposition. One thing I didn't mention, and it's probably a new link, I just discovered this one in a paper the other day. It's probably also your gut flora itself. Need your gut flora and the healthy bacteria themselves to make sure this gall is fluid enough. So low energy, sticky poop, especially sticky poop, fatty poop, because you're not digesting all the fats. That means like the toilet has some rims or some track marks on it, and whatever you want to call it, in a proper way, which I obviously can't. This might or might not be a sign of gall. You can get it tested. An echo will say if there's stones, but many people don't have complaints with these stones. But we're not searching for complaints with the stones, like a stone going into a duct. We're talking about, is it optimal or not? Again, improving gut flora, maybe supplements temporary, but be careful. I have various like results with using gall as a supplement. So some people get more problems, be careful with that one. But long-term gut flora improvement. Okay, little sciencey, but very important. Just see if you recognize these things for yourself, and then you may find somebody who's knowledgeable about these things. We're gonna go on to my favorite one, the microbiome itself. This is a result of all these things we're doing so far in the good or the bad way. But 100,000 million bacteria is supposed to be there. That's a lot of bacteria. That's 1,000 more bacteria than you have cells in your body. Of course, they do something for our health.